Welcome back, fuckers. Alright, today we're going to run through how to add a modifier to your HOTAS so that you can essentially make a button do multiple functions instead of just having one thing that you can use with it. So we're going to come into options. The modifier, so I've got the Thrustmaster Warthog throttle, and I've got the F18 Charlie HOTAS add-on grip. Okay, that goes on top of the joystick, screws it in. So I've taken my Warthog joystick off and I've got the F18 one installed. So the difference between the two is the big one is the F18 stick doesn't have a DMS switch on the joystick like the Warthog one does, because it doesn't need a DMS switch. So you're down a hat switch on the F18 stick. So I need to use, I use a modifier button, which I use my mic depress button, I think it is, on the throttle where your mic switch is. When you press it in, that's the one I use as my modifier, but you can use any one you want. So my button is right there, but to add a modifier button, if you wanted to, you're going to go to add, keyboard, joystick, throttle, or rudder. Okay, so we're going to use the throttle, and all you do is just press the button that you want to use. Now you have to make sure that the button isn't in use. Okay, like that one there would say warning, this key is already bound to something. So if you've bound it to something already, you're going to have to unbind it from that binding, otherwise it won't work. Okay, but if you find a button that isn't, or make a button on your throttle or your joystick that you want to use as a modifier, make sure it's unbound from anything in the actual game. Okay, so I've got joystick button 2 on my throttle. So now, if I wanted to, we could assign a different, let's find one here. All right, we'll go to there. So that's what I use. Okay, so on my sensor control switch aft and forward, that's my normal button. So when I press up and down, it lets me select between I think it's Sidewinder and gun from memory. So that's its use there. But then when I press and hold my modifier button, which is joystick button 2 on the throttle, and then press the same button, okay, radar elevation control up, sensor control switch forward, radar elevation control switch up, sensor control switch forward. So I can use the same button on my HOTAS, but by pressing and holding another button, I can have a different function to it. So I've got the same hat on my Hornet is bound to radar elevation control up and down to sling my radar up and down, and all I do is press and hold joystick button 2 on my throttle to do that. And then when I don't want to sling my radar, I can just select sensor control switch forward, aft, and left. I've also done it on a few other ones. Okay, night vision for goggles. Turn my night vision goggles on. So again, I just used my left wing down trim switch. Okay, so and then to turn my goggles on, save me having to press right shift H, I press my joystick button 2 and then press the same button of left wing down, and it will toggle goggles on. Okay, so that's how I'm doing it. Trim left, joystick button 2 and trim left, joystick button 2 and trim left. And that's how it works, guys. So if you're struggling to or you're running out of buttons on your HOTAS, that is a good way to work around it. The only problem is if you have different buttons for different things on all kinds of different aircraft, you're going to get real confused. You're going to forget which shit you've done. So I try, and so for all my aircraft that have got night vision goggles, I use the same keybind. So joystick button 2 and trim left is turn my night vision goggles on, and my night vision up and down, I use the same controls for every single aircraft that's got night vision goggles. Otherwise, if you bind that to something else and you don't fly that plane for a while, and you're like, oh, I want to turn my night vision goggles on, and you press the bind you normally use and it's something else, it's going to fuck you up. So just keep that in mind. Try and keep your commands that you're using the same, even if you're using a modifier. All right, so radar elevation up and down, and then I'm pretty sure I've done it for the F16. Let's just double check. Sim. Yep. Radar elevation. Got it down. Okay, and the F16. And then TMS up, TMS down. So try and bind everything so it makes sense, so it's the least confusing as possible, because when you start fumbling with you're pressing and holding your modifier and then like, fuck, which button did I use? Okay, it makes your life a whole lot easier. But that's how you do it, guys. Save you a whole lot of time, frees up a whole lot more options you can bind to your HOTAS as well, so get amongst it. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit the like button, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button for the YouTube channel. It helps me out a heap. And lastly but not least, I do stream on Twitch as well, Monday to Friday at 1300 Australian Western Standard Time. So if you haven't already, come on by. If you're awake it's late over in America normally, but you can't sleep, come on in, say good day, hang out with the boys, and just watch us do DCS shit. Alright guys, catch us on the next one.